properties. Yep. There we go. And thus, they should be able to hear you, I would think. Even though it's not... Why is this not showing up?
Alright, audio's coming in.
Okay, and that should be that. Alright, so theoretically we fixed everything. Getty computers. Alright. Die Hard 3, Bruce Willis. Alright, so, as I was saying, even though no one could hear me, we are here to celebrate my new computer, which is an epic machine of great justice. And what's the first thing you want to do when you build an epic computer? Play a game from 2009 that was made for the PS3. Because, why not? Go on?
If you can handle it, run it.
And we do not want to play Journey to the Nexus because it's basically just a supposed... Well, you could probably beat him, but it's more or less a supposed-to-lose fight. But this works remarkably well. Now, the PS3 emulator I'm running is not that well optimized for Ryzen, but it works pretty well. I'm using the Vulkan API renderer, and later we're going to take a look at Breath of the Wild, which doesn't have a Vulkan API renderer yet, but is going to get one at some point. Yeah, one of the things about this particular game is it's amazing just how many of the Dark Souls games actually call back to this. Like, in the first Dark Souls game, the Maiden in Black is not actually in it, but in the very next one she's in it, and in the third one as well. And of course, here's the Crestfallen Knight. He's there since the first game. Is it a little bit different in that, like, you go to the little thing here and you go to the individual levels? Now, this is going to completely tank the frame rate, but it's still amazing that it runs as well as it does. And I completely forgot about the Friday the 13th game, because I don't really like it that much. And Demon's Souls is kind of part of the Dark Souls franchise, but not really, because Demon's Souls is owned by Sony, and yeah, it's one of those rights issues things.
If anything, I count this as From Software's trial run game.
I actually have a shield now. Oh my god. Yeah, we're getting a solid 30 frames per second at the castle, which on my old machine was running about, I think, 15, somewhere around there. And it took me a little while, actually, let me move the mouse cursor. There we go. It took me a while to get it to actually run this well. I had to like do a lot of optimization stuff, but it's perfectly playable and works remarkably well. I mean, we're now emulating the PS3. I feel even older than I already did.
Oh, just wait till Saturn and Jaguar emulation start getting, near perfect.
That means one day I'll actually be able to play AVP, the very first one. Let's see. I do plan to play Aeon Wrath of Ruin, or Wrath... Wait, what? Wrath Aeon of Ruin. That's a weird way to set up that title. I know I'm going to get that title wrong. Alright, so I'll play this for a little bit, then I'll talk about the PC specs that I have now. Now, I also want to give a shout out to PC Gamer by Default, the guy who sent me the motherboard and processor I was previously using. He actually helped me optimize this particular system. Evidently, the processor I'm using, you have to turn off in the BIOS the APU that it has. Otherwise, it'll default to that. I didn't even know you had to do that. And also, apparently, this motherboard... well, it's not apparently, it does. This motherboard also sets the RAM clock really, really low for some reason. And he assisted me with that. So now I got the RAM running at 3,000 megahertz. Which is excellent, to say the least. So, Rain, what was the first gaming computer you ever built? And, like, when was it?
We're talking Pentium 1 days. I blew... This is before even 3D, cards really were a thing. So, talking a Pentium 1 with... You're going to laugh at this. 128 meg of RAM.
Well, it's better than what the Commodore 64 had of, like, 2K. So, yeah.
My favorite build from back then was right as we're just getting out of the Pentium 2 slocket system and into, you know, Pentium 3. It's back in the days when, you know, Matrox cards were all the rage. And then, of course, you had your 3DFX, which, oddly enough, as much as I like 3DFX, most of my work with their equipment was, oddly enough, more arcade-oriented than it was home-oriented.
Yeah, I never had a gaming-based computer back in those days, mainly because I was actually a kid, believe it or not.
Well, back then I was, you know, assembling Gauntlet Legends, you know, Blitz 99, things like that. I never really, Carnival, I never really owned a Voodoo card. I wish I did, but, you know, 3DFX Voodoo back then was kind of expensive.
Yeah, like, what was the difference between 3DFX? Well, wait, 3DFX did Voodoo, but what was the other option at the time? Because
you had Matrox, you had Diamond, you had NVIDIA. With Matrox, it was mostly, you know, 24-bit color palette on the high end, but it couldn't handle things easily like anti-aliasing.
Also, my phone's going off. I'm just that popular.
The Diamond cards were nice for a while there because you could actually, how do I put this? You couldn't really handle Saturn emulation in a sense, but you were rendering in the same way the Saturn was. Instead of rendering in tris, you're rendering in quads.
Yeah, I saw that on LGR. Those were interesting days because nothing was really established like it is today.
No, there was no standard. It was pretty much, if you got a game, you had to check and make sure it was made for that card.
Which is really interesting in and of itself. Now, at the time, I was completely unaware of, like, any of that. It's just kind of funny how kind of clueless I was. But then again, once again, I was actually a kid, so I have that as a good excuse.
No, it's not just you. The entire market was. Unless this is back in the day when liquid cooling was, okay, let's head down to the junkyard, grab some heater cores, and, you know, head to Home Depot and make our own damn liquid cooling system using an aquarium pump.
I still have not gotten into liquid cooling. I'm still just using fans. But then again, it's not like I'm running, you know, like a i7 or something along those lines, so I don't really need it.
Well, back then, if you were pushing performance, it was necessary. These days, there's good coolers that use fans. I love liquid cooling, and I hate it. I love it because I actually enjoy building custom loops. I hate it because the maintenance is higher, and unless you're really pushing the absolute bleeding edge, there's no need for it.
And that's not what I'm doing here. Because when I did a lot of research on the upgrades to my PC here, and I picked what was the most efficient, not like the most blazingly fast. But that being said, the processor I'm using, actually, seeing as how I've been going for, what, 10 minutes, I'm sure. How many people are even here?
Let's see. Got 6 watching now, according. And yes, Techstorm, I have seen the new System Shock 3 trailer. I'm hoping it's good.
Yeah, since I never really played System Shock 1 or 2, its quality is lost on me.
Give one a try. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, it's using the Ultima Underworld engine, I think, right?
Yeah, although the new re-release is using SSP, and you can, unlike the original, you can you can configure the controls to exactly what you want. So you're not going to be, there's not going to be culture shock to go along with the System Shock.
Alright, I might take a look at that. If ever I get the chance. The reason there wasn't a live stream last week was every day was a 10-hour day. I was quite dead, to say the least. Come Friday. Oh crap, I forgot about that! Okay, so I jump all the way down there and take no damage. in full plate armor, no less. This guy has knees of steel.
Apparently, he's done a lot of burpees.
And that bastard sword is utterly worthless at the moment. Actually, I don't use two-handed swords in any of these games. I like to hide behind the shield. When it comes to like these Soul Styles games, I love my shield. Because I don't really have the desire to practice parrying, nor do I have the reflexes to jump around a lot. That's one of the reasons why I really don't like Sekiro all that much. Because, like, that's all about parrying and jumping around. That's like the absolute worst. It's the worst of both worlds for me. Just give me a classic, you know, shield. Give me something to hide behind. I don't know why the Japanese didn't like shields.
Well, it's not a matter that they didn't like them. It's the fact that how their swords are based, how the armor's based. A shield actually doesn't do them as much good as a European. I mean, let me rephrase that. It's not. I'm not saying, oh, katana versus katana. You know, a shield will do you good. No, a shield will do you great in that scenario. It's the rest of the guys, like the Ashigaru and the guys with the Tetsubo, you got to worry about.
I'm just going to nod politely because I don't really know what any of that is.
An Ashigaru basically is almost like a conscript soldier, in which case they're armed with a yari, a spear. And a Tetsubo is essentially... Basically, imagine a tree trunk, or in this case, a 4x4 carved down and with lots and lots of metal studs in it to make essentially a giant, huge F-off club, which will break the crap out of armor.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun. And yes, I do get overtime for that, which is very good indeed. Also, right here, we've got a proto Black Knight that would later be seen in Dark Souls. He's a lot shorter in this game, as you can tell. And he's got a little glowy thing on his helmet. And also is just as annoying. Because the bastard likes to heal. Stab him in the back. Oh, crap. I could have swore there was a different character class, though. I vaguely remember that. Where, like, he got the little hat. And, like, leather armor and, like, a spear. I don't like playing Knight just because he's too heavy. Come on, stab him in the back.
Hey, Idris.
Don't roll off the cliff. Don't roll off the cliff. Oh, that hurt. See, this is the kind of combat I like. Where you just circle around with your shield, trying to stab somebody in the back. That's how men are meant to fight. Oh, wait, that might be sexist. Just don't tell anyone. Ooh, got him to bleed. Stab him.
Well, we don't see too many women at HEMA events. They do come, but it's not terribly common.
And yes, this is RPS 3. RPS. It's like, that is so hard to say, and it's easy to confuse that with PCSX 2.
Yeah, a lot of the names of emulators, bless them, are just really out there. Especially PSP.
PPSP?
PPSSPP.
Oh, well, I didn't even get even close to right. Those things actually
Nobody ever does.
I didn't even know it was a PSP emulator until fairly recently. So, yeah, let's see. Dragon's Dogma. I played that for a grand total of 5 minutes and didn't like it. I just couldn't really get into the combat. Oh, that bastard. I remember him. I'm running away. I need to try to play Dragon's Dogma again. It's just, I did not like it. And I guess that's the thing. When I think of like these generic fantasy games, I want something with a little more... less clunky combat, which is what Dragon's Dogma had. And the whole, you know, like little robot men thing... The little clone guys that you could get were kind of annoying as well. But, I'm running out of fantasy stuff to play. Don't eat the fucking grass! I'm used to the Xbox controls, and I'm using an Xbox controller. So I end up wasting all the goddamn grass. Okay, what do we got here? We got a dagger and a regular sword. You want to chat Cyberpunk? Yeah, the game's running a little slow just because this is a really graphically intensive area. And, like, it puts a real strain on the processor. It's getting about almost 30 frames a second. I knew that guy was there. I knew he was there. Kills me every goddamn time. This game is substantially more annoying than Dark Souls is. Much, much more annoying. If you thought Dark Souls was unforgiving, if you thought Dark Souls 2... Actually, Dark Souls 2 is still the hardest and most annoying, but this game is still pretty bad about that. It's still pretty bad about just... It is completely unmerciful. Dark Souls, actually, I'd go as far to say, is the easiest game in the series. And by far the most forgiving when it comes to the gameplay. Because this is just... It gets annoying fast. And you don't have Estus in this. All you have is the grass. And if you run out, you run out. You're screwed.
Yeah, I have a problem with 2's hitboxes. The rest of the series, to include this one, are quite good.
I don't remember the hit. Oh, yeah, no, that reminds me. Yeah, Dark Souls 2 did have a problem with that. And you didn't get any invincibility frames when operating switches or rolling. And, of course, you ended up losing more health as you died. Dark Souls 2 is my least favorite, even though it's not that horrible. I mean, it's not a bad game, it's just... I think they went a little too far when it came to the difficulty.
Mostly, it seems like they rushed a little bit. They could have benefited from a little bit more time.
Yeah, I could see that.
And yeah, TechStorm, I have. Good news is, and I use the term good really loosely here, there was a man who was banned nationwide from Walmart. He wasn't arrested or anything. The police showed up and they basically just said, yeah, we know. So he's got a heck of a case on his hands against Walmart. I'm hoping he sues, and if I were, on the board of Gun Owners of America, I would basically be saying, okay, here's our lawyers. This one's on us.
And yes, I've also heard of that Walmart idiocy as well, but I don't really buy ammo from Walmart, so it's not a big deal. Don't fall down! Fuck!
Well, it's not even so much buying ammo from Walmart. It's the fact that, if you're in a state which, concealed carry is prohibitive, but open carry is a thing, you can't open carry. They're basically saying you cannot defend yourself at Walmart.
Yeah, which they can't really do anything about, though, because that's not particularly legal on their part, but, yeah. It's that woke capitalism. And now the game is running at almost 30 FPS. It's just this game is pretty intensive on the processor, and the emulator is currently really optimized for Intel processors, which I do not have. It's supposed to actually get a little bit better in terms of frame rate later in the game. It's just rendering all of this is difficult. I've tried other games with this emulator, and I can get about a solid 30 just about all the time. What's really annoying, though, is this emulator primarily only works with Weeb games. I don't understand it. It's like, I guess the developers really like the Weeb games, or they're much easier to emulate because of programming or something?
It's down to the fact that the SDK for each game, the games in Japan are using Sony's native SDK, while the Western games for the PS3, I hate to say this because it's going to sound kind of damning, the Western market can't program for shice when it comes to specialized hardware.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Because I'm looking at like all the games that work on this particular emulator, and it's like Nier works. And I've not played Nier, but it doesn't really look like my kind of thing. And like Drakengard 3 works, which I'm tempted to play that game actually, just because it doesn't look that bad. It looks like the weebiest thing ever, but it's like there's only so many games that work for this thing. Azura's Wrath works for this, which I've wanted to play that for a while just because I've seen a number of Let's Plays on that. And evidently you play as like some sort of anime guy that attacks spaceships while shirtless. I want to see what that's about. Because that looks pretty cool. Not gonna... Don't fall in the hole again! Oh,
There's also 3D Dot Game Heroes, which is pretty darn good.
I have never heard of such a thing. I'll have to look at it.
Essentially, imagine Atlas designing a pseudo-retro Zelda-style game.
I will have to go in search of that, even though I'm not a big fan of Zelda. Now, what's kind of annoying is this live stream cannot actually be monetized in any way after I finish with this game, because I am going to be streaming some Breath of the Wild, and, well, you know how Nintendo is about these things. But I want to stream that, because Breath of the Wild actually streams substantially better, or, well, plays substantially better than Demon's Souls here. The Simu emulator works quite amazingly, actually. Now, when they finally release their Vulkan version, I think I'll probably be able to get 60, but I can get 30 pretty consistently. Oh, crap. Now, so far, I've not leveled up once. Because in this game, like, you pretty much have to defeat the boss to get back to the Firelink Shrine equivalent. And I haven't even gotten to the boss yet. And it's already been 24 minutes. In Dark Souls, it's like, you can get, in that same amount of time, you can completely clear the Bell Tower gargoyles. Eventually I do need to try Nier Automata at some point. Trying to run the... I didn't know there were even PS1 emulators back in the late 90s.
Yeah. 98, you had Bleed.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. I thought that was only for the Dreamcast, though.
No, they had the PC version. It was actually pretty good.
Oh, I didn't know there was a PC version. I thought it was just, like, for the Dreamcast. Okay. Damn, I can't even imagine trying to run that back then.
It was interesting. Not always easy, but interesting.
Yeah. Well, like, when was the first NES emulator released?
That would be Nesticle. That was, I want to say, 95, 96.
Yeah, see, I didn't know about emulators till 2008, so I had no idea how long this stuff has been around. Turpentine? Turpentine, that's what I get? Turpentine? Did that even exist in the Middle Ages?
It did.
Well, that's surprising.
It was kind of rare. I mean, solvents back then generally kind of tough to get a hold of. Although, 2 centuries later, there's freaking, boracic acid, which was the death of many, and even further down.
Yeah, people were nuts when it came to that kind of stuff. It's like, it's not a solvent, but lead-based makeup. It's like, yeah, that's gonna go over real well. Okay, come on, hit me so I can stab you in the back.
Yeah, it beats the Romans. Hey, let's sweeten our wine using lead. I'm not kidding. That's exactly how they did it.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, but I guess I didn't know. Alright, so since I think... Oh, crap. Like, I'm gonna start explaining what's in the PC right as soon as some asshole runs up and stabs me in the face. It's a good thing all you had was leather armor. Okay. So what we've got here, ladies and gentlemen, and yes, I wrote it down. Alright, so what we've got for PC components is the following. I've got Corsair Vengeance LPX RAM, 16 gigabytes of it, running at 3000 megahertz. The processor is a AMD Ryzen 3 2200G. That is a processor that I really couldn't pass up. It was only $80, which was a damn good price for what it is. Oh, crap. As I say that, the game just completely slows down to a crawl. Okay, there it goes. But it really was good for what it was. It was basically a 60% improvement in terms of gaming compared to the processor I was using. And something along like a 45% improvement in terms of just basic desktop work. Every other processor that cost just a little bit more than it only gave me marginal gains. So it was like the absolute perfect processor in terms of like just basic upgrade efficiency. It's a 4-core processor of all things, though. I thought 4-core processors had been phased out already for like 6-core and like octa-core.
No, here's the thing. In the case of your Ryzen, it's trading cores for performance.
Well, it is running at 3.5 gigahertz. You can potentially... That asshole healed. I knew he would. You can potentially overclock it to 3.7, but that is such a marginal gain, I have no desire to do that.
You can push it further than that, but now you're talking rather radical cooling methods, such as Peltier cooling.
And the CPU cooler I have is a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Turbo, which is actually, it's one of the more, it's actually a, no, don't heal, you fucking asshole. It's actually the updated model that does not require you to send off to Cooler Master for a updated bracket. One thing that was kind of funny while I was building this thing is I have not built a PC since 2012. And so, the little plastic things that are around the processor bit, I forgot that you had to remove that. So I was like, the holes aren't there! Where are the holes? The motherboard must be defective. Oh, push him off the... Yeah, fuck you, asshole! Although I killed him as he fell, which kind of robbed me of the overall, you know, satisfaction of getting a bloody railing kill.
Well, just imagine him doing the goofy yell as he goes off the cliff.
That could work. And lastly, the motherboard. Damn straight. So, the motherboard is a Gigabyte B450 Aorus? I never could pronounce that. Gigabyte is actually one of my favorite types of favorite brands of motherboards to get, just because you don't have to do a lot of configuring with them compared to, like, say, an Asus board. When I plug the hard drive into this thing, everything ran. I didn't have to download a bunch of drivers or anything, which was actually the same thing that happened with an earlier Gigabyte board. And well, at least I survived. That's good enough. And of course, he's completely unscathed, as you would expect. Goddamn fire pot asshole. Okay, we're gonna try to kill the first boss in this game, which before my PS3 broke, that was about as far as I got. As for the rest of the components in this thing, the graphics card is a GTX 970. I considered getting a new GPU, but from my research, I'd only be getting marginal gains for spending a lot of money, so I'm just going to keep using that. The power supply is a 750 watt EVGA Gold class power supply. Both the GPU and the power supply were both donated parts, actually. And I highly appreciate that. The fan who donated that was the rather hilariously named Uncle Shagnasty. I have been using since 2012 a power supply manufactured by Roseville, which I think, Rain, you mentioned in one of the previous live streams that, like, those things catch fire, apparently?
The Roseville ones can. I've had one actually go up on me. Here's the thing when it comes to power supplies. Avoid Roseville, like the plague. And generally, when you're talking ratings, you know, bronze, gold, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, essentially what you're getting is, per each upgrade, you're getting a higher grade of capacitors.
Well, I'm glad the Roseville didn't burn the house down. That's always good. This is by far the most fancy power supply I've ever had. And I find it satisfying that every time I turn this machine on, the lights flicker a little bit. That's how powerful this thing is now. And I'm still using the computer case from 2012 as well. Just because I see no reason to replace it. It's a Cooler Master half, or high airflow. And does a good job of keeping the machine cool, so... I don't really go in for the tempered glass and LEDs, since there are times when I like to leave the computer on overnight. If there's LEDs, you know, blaring, it makes sleep somewhat difficult. I did actually have a computer case with LEDs, and I found it to be completely annoying. And I'm quite glad I've replaced it. Let's see, new plans for outdoor adventures. Yes, at some point. Just not anytime soon. And let's see, survival game Pathologic 2, never even heard of it.
The original Pathologic was pretty good. I've got to give 2 a try.
And no, I do not live anywhere near Errol. I do not live anywhere near. God damn it! I do not live anywhere near El Paso. There we go. Finally. That's actually in the northwestern part of the state, and I'm in the southeastern part of it. Like, I'm separated by, I think, like, if not 1,000 miles and close to it. And yes, I'm well aware of what happened there, but...
You're separated by at least one mountain range.
Yeah, so I'm about as safe as you can get. But speaking of that, you of course have this idiot named Beto. Most of you probably don't know who that is, and be thankful to whatever god you may or may not believe in that you don't. Basically, he's some idiotic politician who knows absolutely nothing, and actually live streamed.
He's evil.
I don't know if I'd say he's evil. I don't think he's smart enough to be evil.
No, he is, because Occam's razor. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and coin a new phrase: Occam's double-edged razor. Occam's razor states that do not attribute to malice what can be easily explained with stupidity. Judging by his actions and his words, this is not stupidity. This is malice. The guy is calling for essentially deplatforming of people financially.
Not only that, but during that Democratic debate last night, I'm not going to get too political, but this is something I have to bring up. He was like, hell yeah, we're coming for your AR-15. Dude, you do realize what that means, right? No, it's not something you can just do. You can't just pass a law and there's going to be these magic... ATF is not going to suddenly swell to like 3 million men that are going to go looking for guns. That's not how that works.
No, but there is a way he can do it, and it's not going to be... Let's put it this way. It's the reason why he'll never be elected. Thank gods. He could enact state of emergency, in which case military can operate on U.S. shores.
Yeah, but let's be reasonable. Some of the military might go through with it, but not many. I mean... Yeah,
there's a lot of oath keepers. Problem is that at that point it doesn't matter. You've essentially enacted civil war.
Yeah, and he couldn't even become senator, or... Was he running for the Senate here? I don't even remember.
Yeah, he was running for Senate. And
yeah, he couldn't even win that, so... I think he has like 2% of the vote, so... all I can say is, this guy is unfucking believably stupid.
No, it's not stupid. It's sheer malice.
Well,
if
there
it was
you go.
Stupid, he would, say something that was completely impossible and actually even more stupid than what he's saying. What he's saying is incredibly stupid, yes, but is entirely within the realms of feasibility. He's essentially... He wants to be Hitler 2.0. And I'm not saying that in the, the whole hyperbolic, Poe's law of, everything descends into Hitler. I mean, literally, he is following Hitler's, plan to a T. Disarm the people, separate them via, political debate, and essentially divide, then conquer. The guy is... That's why I say he's evil. There's no mistaking it.
I think he's forgotten, though, that America is, well, a continent and not a decently large, but not that large country in Central Europe. So that's one of the theories I've always had, why a lot of these dictators can seize power in some of these countries the way they do, is the countries are very small or sparsely populated or have very concentrated populations like the USSR. It's just like... I don't foresee that being in any way, shape, or form possible for him to do what he wants to do.
No, it's possible. Best case example, China.
Yeah, but that's more of a homogenous population versus what we have here.
Not even then. Because I can knock away the homogenous population by just mentioning one reason, Jiaxing. Jiaxing is different than a lot of other areas in China. But the thing is, it didn't take much to conquer them.
Well, that doesn't make me feel any better. Here I am trying to be, optimistic.
Never say it can't happen here, but the thing is, on the flip side, there's a lot we can do to avoid it.
Yeah, one would hope. And I'm still going to try to take out that boss. Even if you did hand him over, it wouldn't make a difference. there's 400 million guns. Even if you even if you were to hand over 99% of them, that's still a hell of a lot of guns. And that's assuming you could somehow seal the border well enough to stop, illegal traffic of firearms, which is going to happen.
It doesn't even matter then. Let's look at what a firearm is, essentially. It's a manufactured good. Okay. Let's say by some dark miracle, some unholy, metaphysical force beyond human understanding, all guns are taken away. That. All right. Well, you can't ban math. And that's essentially what creates a gun. Math. All it is applied mathematics and engineering. If you have a high school textbook, a high school mathematics book and a high school science book, you can make guns, you can make ammo, you can make anything you need to make.
I guess they could try to ban, machine tools. Maybe. I don't think that's really... If banning guns was not feasible, banning all machine tools is even less feasible.
Yeah, it's essentially throwing us back into the Stone Age.
Yeah, I mean... You eventually run into a law of diminishing returns. I mean, people aren't going to want to live like that. Where, like, every single aspect of your life is regulated in some way. And you'd have to do that. How do you stop mass shootings? Well, you try to change the culture to where the media isn't constantly radicalizing people. That might be a good start. Maybe. Just
that
saying.
You actually... This is going to sound kind of strange, but incentivize good parenting. Tax breaks for being a good parent.
I think PA is just going to get a lot of money. PA Luddy? Who is that?
PA Ludi, yeah. The Ludi submachine gun. It was an experiment and a, kind of a social call out to say you can't ban X, Y, or Z. Ludi, unfortunately, went to prison, and his machine gun is currently in the RAF Armory on display. But he successfully managed to make a 9mm submachine gun, which worked quite well, using nothing but hand tools.
Not bad. At least I got a crossbow out of that. Oh yeah, they're going to try to ban crossbows and knives. Yeah, good luck with that too. You're going to need it.
To which I say, United Kingdom. Anything sharper than a butter knife, and they get all antsy.
Well, that's why their opinion.
And a butter knife requires you to be 18 to buy, by the way, in the UK.
Wow. 1984 indeed. Oh, actually no, it's worse than 1984. I think they were allowed to have that there. I don't know. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to defeat the first boss in this game, because as I said, this game is tough. Much tougher than Dark Souls. And I don't think I could even defeat the first boss if I even got to him. If I even got to him. And I really want to look at Breath of the Wild. Because that is a surprisingly good game for a console. I mean, it is much more advanced than a lot of the other Zeldas. I'm not a big fan of Zelda, to be perfectly honest. I just never really got into any of the games. I don't really care that much about Link. The world doesn't seem that amazing. Okay, come on. Chuck the bloody firebomb. Okay, we just gotta trip. And run!
I'm going to be controversial here. Breath of the Wild is a lot closer to the old school Zelda that I remember growing up with. Now, there are new things to it, like the weapon degradation I'm not so hot on, but the exploration and actual sense of, okay, this is a pretty interesting world is more akin to, the Zelda I grew up with.
Yeah, I just never had any of the Zelda games as a kid, so I just never really had that nostalgia for them. We were getting into slideshow frame rates here, unfortunately. There we go. I think it's got to compile shaders or something, and that's why it takes forever.
Well, to be fair, it got the slideshow on the PS3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is not a very well optimized game. This is not a very well optimized area.
Okay, good. Then I don't feel so bad. Now, I did try the 60 FPS patch, and it slowed the frame rate down to about 10 FPS. So, yeah, this PC is not quite powerful enough to run it.
Well, it's not that. It's the emulator is still being optimized. Remember, you're not working with hardware emulation here. It cannot, exactly clone the chipset that's in the PS3. You're working with software emulation, so it's trying its best.
And it works decently enough. I was able to get 60 FPS when I lowered the resolution to 640 by 480. The whole game looked like shit, but hey, we got 60 FPS. Yeah, one of my first console games was actually the Super Mario All-Stars. I want to rebuy that at some point, but the prices on those are ridiculous. They're like $30 for a loose cartridge. I mean, that was a pack-in game.
No, it was a pack-in game after about the third year in.
Well, I didn't get a Super Nintendo till I think 1994. I think. I can vaguely remember when I got it. That's kind of crazy. That was over 20 years ago. So, my God, I'm old. Okay, now I'm trying to remember where the boss is, because I want to finally find the bastard and cut him up. And Super Mario All-Stars was a hell of a deal back then, too. That was I think 5 games in one. It's one of the few legit multi-carts.
Yeah, it was actually pretty darn nice, because almost all the original glitches are shored up, although you can still speedrun it. The soundtrack was improved, graphics were improved, and that control was actually tightened on the lost levels just a little bit, so it was a little bit easier. Now, that's like saying, climbing a mountain using only your teeth is easier, but than, just using your chin, but...
Oh, the lost levels. I mean, I never finished that as a kid. I actually never finished any of the Mario games as a kid. What's kind of funny is there are a lot of games on the Super Nintendo that I really like that I never finished. Donkey Kong is one of them. I only finished that game all the way through, this year, I think.
That's not something to be ashamed of, because that's actually a hard game. Especially if you're trying to 100% or 100% plus it. That's nutty.
I can't imagine. It's even with save states, that was oh my God. Oh, come on, let me pick up the fucking blood. Ah, fuck it. I mean, the idea of actually doing that without save states. I got to the snow levels, and that's where I stopped as a kid, because those things are fucking impossible. Heal! Eat that fucking grass!
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country still gives speedrunners a hard time these days.
Eat the grass. Okay, I need to... Okay, there we go. Alright, I'm going to run away from him. I'm then going to stab this guy in the face, so he doesn't keep shooting me like an asshole. Don't fall! Please don't fall.
And tech, owning the Paladin Press books back then, it's a book. I mean, as long as you're not checking out of the library, you're generally fine.
Paladin Press?
I mean, I can't go into full detail here because, yeah, there are certain NDAs I've got to follow, and there's certain protocol I have to follow, but...
7.
I am subject to quite a few FBI investigations per year due to contacts. And I don't know if you know what it's like, but having a man in a suit show up to your door and ask you a few questions over coffee, because I've grown to know them.
Stab him! Oh, don't stab the FBI agent, that might be bad.
No. Generally... when the FBI agents come over here, they burn through my coffee, which is fine because, whatever. But I own all the Paladin Press books and etc. And they're not going to give you any problems with it. Just don't go doing anything in those books, and you'll be fine.
How did I get hit by a ball when I was behind the fence? How? I'm going to assume Paladin Press is something along the lines of how to manufacture certain items that might or might not be prohibited by the NFA.
Some of it is. Some of it's prepping technique, and some of it's actually quite legal. Some of it's not, but...
Some of it's legal. Most of it's not. The Nintendo Switch. I considered getting myself one of those. Then I realized I could just... Shit. No. You are not going to kill me, Spearman. All you've got are stupid little hats. I've got a full set of plate armor. You have any idea how much this shit probably cost?
More than they make in a lifetime.
Cost me all of 5 gold. Which today is worth like $20 million. No, probably not that bad, but still. For some reason I had a random thought of like, how would you explain to Benjamin Franklin how much $100 is actually worth in modern money?
The easiest way is explain how much it gets him in arms and armor.
Because it's like, do they even have the concept of, oh, please run away from the dragon.
Well, yeah, they had their own concept. Essentially, they were operating off of, British sterling for a while, and they switched to their own bills.
No, I was thinking like the concept of inflation. Is that even a thing back then?
Very much so. It's how our nation got its start. Undue taxation without representation. I mean, you're talking the Brits were banning the U.S. from buying and or fabricating steel shovels. We had to make do with wooden ones.
Oh, I remember that. I saw that on the History Channel like over a decade ago. Yeah. Well, that'd be easy enough then. You're like, okay, Benjamin, $100 is not worth quite what it is today because inflation. And I'm pretty sure his only response would be, oh. Welcome to the future. Please don't kill me, dragon.
Well, on the upside, Benjamin's face is on what probably the most circulated bill out there. Outside of the $1 bill, of course.
Yeah, I wonder what Washington would feel about that. It's like, oh God. Just keep fat rolling.
Washington probably wouldn't be too plussed about it because almost everyone has, a picture of him in their wallet. So he wasn't too big on the whole idea of being at the time, celebrity. They really didn't use the word celebrity, but being such a public figure.
Yeah, and he certainly is public, that's for sure. Okay, so we got the first boss, which is basically just a sludge monster that... That's the one thing about the Souls series. You might fight your way all the way to someplace like this, and then be immediately killed by the weakest enemy in the game. It's like, I can hear that... Oh, crap. Or be killed by a random zombie. I've had that happen before. With a fully leveled up character, no less.
Death can come from any angle. And boy, does it come hard.
Oh, crap. I need to heal. Come on, compile the shaders. I don't care that we're at a slideshow. I've almost got to the first boss, and I'm not going to be killed by a bunch of lowly armsmen. Come on, heal. Eat the grass. Or zombies. I'm just going to run past. That is a viable strategy in the Souls series, is just run past. Actually, we finally got to a sludge monster. Ah, they're all going to be behind me, aren't they? At least this isn't quite as bad as Dark Souls 2, where they will continue... Why can't they just keep throwing themselves into the abyss? Fucking dumbasses. Oh, this is not going to end well. At least I should be able to get to him pretty easily, though. This is not a position you want to be in. Okay, yeah, I might... No, if I could have got through him, I could have actually had the high ground. Oh, Japanese officer swords. Yeah, katanas are quite cool. Oh yeah, that Area 51 thing. I've actually thought about that. Okay, there's not much the military can really do and still look good. if they, like, shoot them, which I don't foresee them doing, you just shot a bunch of American citizens, so that's not going to go over too well.
No, there is one option they've got. It's not going to... The people running onto Area 51 are not going to like it. But what the heck was that?
I don't know. That was weird.
Hello.
Oh, we got a visitor.
Rage, you broke the internet.
I'm not even home. I'm like out
Oh,
in the real world.
the real world? I've not heard of this thing, but what are they going to
Oh,
do?
he's on an MTV reality show.
Oh God, no! Kill me now! Do it!
But, yeah, so what are they going to try to do? Or
Well,
do?
there's a non-lethal solution that we've got. I mean, there's actually several non-lethal solutions, but the first one that comes to mind, saying, you know, you're going to have a crowd, hopefully of not that many, but it could be pretty massive, trying to run towards a secured location. Well, we have a certain microwave area denial device.
They were actually able to get that to work. I thought it was just a science fiction thing.
No, it works, and it hurts like a SOB.
Oh. Okay. Well, there you go. That's what's going to happen. I thought that was just like a near future kind of thing.
No, it's quite real. Then again, there's also the directional sound cannons we have. That could also work.
That's real too. Once again, I thought that was just like a near future thing that they use like in the Marvel movies. Because I remember there being the sound cannon in the Hulk movie.
No, we actually used that in, you know, the Iraq War. It's a very real thing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was... Oh, this boss fight's tanking. Okay, he's got a... I do not remember how I even... I don't remember how I defeated this thing when I first tried to play this game back in whatever the hell year it was.
What game?
Demon's Souls. Come up.
Yeah.
Oh, run! Run!
Congratulations. Works.
Yeah, it works on the PS3 emulator.
I have a funny random story I can share.
Go for it.
So, I jumped into a VR chat and there was a karaoke room. So I'm like, all right, I'll join that and see what's going on. So I joined it, but like the video of the song wasn't playing. So I jump in and there's a chorus of people singing "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana.
Wow.
It gets even greater. Most of them had accents because I think there was a good percentage of them that didn't really speak English, but they were all, singing the song in English. So my first thought, because I'm kind of an asshole sometimes, is Kurt Cobain is rolling in his grave.
Oh, that's just horrible.
And then my second thought was, this is like being in a cult, because it was just a chorus of like 12 plus people singing "Smells Like Teen Spirit," but since there was no actual video playing, I couldn't hear any of the instruments, so it was just like everybody singing the lyrics.
Wow.
It was hilarious.
Let's just hope it doesn't end in a shotgun chorus.
Yeah,
Oh,
that would be bad. Well, there is actually
savage.
there is a funny. Well, it's both annoying and somewhat funny. Something that happened to me this week. So I was out on a walk. Random kid with a bow comes up out of the blue. Is like, "Hey, do you want to watch me shoot the bow?" And it's like, not really, but I don't say it because I don't want to be an asshole. And he proceeds to spend like 10 minutes shooting his bow at random yards. I'm like, let's put it this way, he was very much a Minecraft server kind of guy. So I didn't want to be rude, but that was
Fortnite
a very...
capable.
Yes, it was a very...
Let's just hope he doesn't do Battle Royale in real life. The bow is not going to give him any advantage at all.
He wasn't that bad with it, but it's like, oh god, please, just don't talk to me. I'm trying to calm down from work. But, whatever. That's the only time that ever happened, but now I'm like paranoid. Every time I go out on a walk, it's like, please don't talk to me. It's not like
And of course, all that popped in my head was, it's hard to, what was it, Nargle, Bargle, Zargle, or whatever, with all these marbles in my mouth. Weird Al version.
Hey, wait, did they drop bombs? No, they don't. Okay, this boss is extraordinarily difficult, as you can see, because he keeps fucking healing like an asshole. Okay, This is why I never finished the game, and then the bloody PS3 broke, so... But compare this to the Taurus Demon. Much more difficult. Oh, please don't tell me he's gonna heal. At least Breath of the Wild should be easier and run better. Hopefully.
Yeah, Demon Souls is a little bit almost like closer to Kingsfield than the Souls series, and the fact that they didn't spare any expense in terms of screw you, you do this right or you die.
Oh, crap. Okay, I'm gonna eat some grass. Smoke some fantasy weed. Now, I wonder, did weed exist back then, I wonder? I mean...
Yeah, but not in the European continent.
Ah, that's right. It's kind of like the potato. Stab him! And this is precisely why they waited until later in the game for this kind of boss. I'm wearing him down. I'm wearing him down. Just pop back out. See, it took about an hour just to get to the boss. Just to get to him.
Oh yeah, that Friday 13th fan film's out today.
Which I need to check out at some point. Come on. Come on.
Considering one of our co-hosts has a cameo.
Yeah.
Oh.
Heal, 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 heal. We're getting a solid 25 frames per second on this boss.
Which, given the emulator and the state of the game, is actually pretty good.
Alright, just back up. Eat some more grass. And charge in and stack him. Area 52. Area 51A, right? Alright, finally got him. The demon was destroyed. You shall obtain the demon soul and a power that is beyond human imagination. 1,000 souls. I can imagine quite a bit, but I can imagine a little more than that. As you can see, the bonfire is a little more primitive. It's just a sword. In like a random glowy thing. Alright, so
glowy thing.
It took an hour, but we successfully defeated the demon. And got his soul. Hence, demon's souls.
Your soul is mine.
Oh, Doctor Who. You know, that car sounded really fake, even though it's obviously happening in real life.
Yes, I'm not really out. I'm actually in virtual reality talking to you. Not
The monumental awaits the above.
He's one with the Matrix.
Oh god. The Matrix within the Matrix.
Yes, Textron, that is his full name. Not his real name, though. So, yeah, if you've never played Demon Souls, I would recommend giving it a try, either by emulating it or buying a PS3 and playing it legitimately. Whatever the case may be, I gotta say, it is a good game, but it is rock hard. 2010.
That's the way Lotz likes it.
Oh, yes. Okay, now we are going to jump into a game that's going to probably get this completely demonetized. And that game is, of course, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And hopefully it'll run a little better than this. We'll see. If they've got to release the Vulcan version, it'd be a lot easier.
Soon enough.
I can't think of Link without the VR chat avatar where all he does, one of his emotes is just screaming constantly. Oh! I mean, it's hilarious.
Chat
But
has perverted your
it's
brain.
ruined Link for me.
Okay. Theoretically, that should pop up. If not, I'll have to use display capture.
Theoretically.
Although I love the fact that my background looks kind of crappy. I've just got the random clothing barrel chucked back there. The bed's not made, but yeah, whatever.
Oh my god, your bed's not made. For shame.
Oh. Yeah, sometimes this does not like to... Yep, there we go. It does not like to load with... okay, let's try to... okay, let's turn that off. Yeah, SIMU crashed trying to load with OBS on. Let's turn the actual display capture off and see if we can trick it into working. I'm not really sure why that is. It's technology. I do not know. Oh, a nard? That is a colloquialism for a bullock.
Huevos.
Kick him in the nards!
Okay, so that's not going to turn on.
As I say that as I'm walking in public.
There we go. Let's fix the screen here a little bit. Actually, no, it just turned on. Never mind. There we go. Aha! Alright, Legend of Zelda. No! Oh, no, please, no. Shit. There we go, okay. Play on the gamepad that I don't have. Alright, so, here we have Legend of Zelda, The Breath of the Wild. I've already gotten to the first quest where we gotta go into some dungeon to get some kind of treasure so we can get a paraglider to get off the Great Plateau. But this is a really impressive game for something on the Wii U. I don't think the Wii U is all that particularly powerful. I think it's sort of equivalent to a 360, if I'm not mistaken.
It's like a Wii U game they ported on the Switch, right?
I think so, yeah. I think. I don't really follow modern Nintendo all that much. Or at all. Okay, it's struggling to load. There we go! Alright, as you can see, we're getting substantially better frame rates. Now the frames will drop down now and again. Just because, well, we are running this in OpenGL and not Vulkan. And it has to compile shaders like crazy, for whatever reason.
No, it's because the game streams.
Oh. And we get to fight some random pig monsters. That are more or less, what are those things? Kobolds, there we go.
Not moblins, really, but...
Oh, well, that works too. I don't even know what that is.
Alright, this concludes my brief cameo. I'm gonna head off.
Alright, see you.
Alright.
Have fun.
I'll be back eventually. Alright, see ya.
We must compile... Oh yeah, we got a shield, which of course requires compiling even more shaders. Hey, we got a bow, which is going to be a completely crap, but whatever. The music just does not really work for me all that much. It's just a little too peppy. Okay, what was the control for the bow? Don't throw your sword! Well... Link, please pick up the sword. There we go. The climbing mechanic actually works pretty well. Remarkably well. Which is precisely why he's not climbing... Oh, there's a ladder. I'm smart at the gamings. I'm really good at the gamings, trust me. Well, I can blame it on the controls being completely different, seeing as how this is for a completely different console. There we go.
Yeah, you're kind of shifting gears here.
Oh yeah, mouse cursor. There we go. The Wii U. I actually know someone who develops for the Wii U that actually has a decent fan following. And his games look pretty good. I tried one of his games. It was a little side-scrolling platformer kind of thing. But it was dev level, and so it was like the most annoying thing imaginable. But I was able to finish it.
Yeah, that's the thing about developing games. You do it enough and you start realizing that, nah, it's not challenging to me. Problem is, you're used to the game. Your customer isn't.
And damn. Okay, now theoretic... Oh yeah, that's where we gotta go. The first dungeon of the game. Now, I could easily just walk to it, or I could, like, swim to it, but, like, where's the fun in swim? Oh, I do have to swim to it. But still, though, for a console game, this is really quite impressive. And, of course, we have to compile the shaders for the water. And, yeah, the ability to... Wait, why am I losing, stamina? Just swimming. His head's not underwater.
Staying afloat.
Oh, I see. Oh, God, that means you'll drown. Ugh. That's certainly something that, Skyrim didn't implement, that's for sure.
Well, sorta. I mean, the earlier versions did to a degree, but not as much.
And I haven't tried that mod that, the real survival mod. Or, like, you actually can get hurt by the cold. Rubies contain the power of fire. You do? It's always one of those hilarious things where, like, rubies and sapphires apparently have, like, some sort of magical property. Even Transformers did that, where, like, Megatron dug up some, like, gems that apparently had, like, energon in them. It's like, what? Travelgate registered to... Oh, yeah! The Fantasy Wii U! I forgot all about that. Because, like, the little, Link's little Fantasy PDA looks all like the Wii U controller.
And here's where jokes come that Link's been taking nudes with his Fantasy PDA.
The less thought about nude Link, the better.
I didn't say it would be of him.
Oh, my. What's an LBS?
Civilian L85, yes and no. There are a few kits that were made by the Firearms Makers Guild, but otherwise you're not getting a civilian L85. And trust me, having fired a military L85, they're not very good.
Magnes trial? What? Don't tell me this requires some kind of thinking. It is too late in the day for me to think. Damn you, Nintendo, actually making a real game? Ooh, we're actually almost getting 60 FPS in here. We got 60 FPS now! Oh my god! Alright, put your bloody Wii U in there and let's see what this is supposed to be. Distilling Rune.
A long way.
What about the A2?
It's a lot better, but it's still, as bullpups go, not great.
Manipulate metallic objects using magnetism. So he saved it on his fantasy SD card. Oh, that just completely tanked the frame rate. So, like, Hyrule seems to change in, like, every single game.
Yeah, it's vastly different every time. The grognards will say, oh, it's because of different eras. Really, it's just because Miyamoto is like, I want to make a new game.
Okay, now wait, what am I supposed to do here? Oh. This might do something?
Tech, actually, yes. You have the old M17 bullpup.
Oh, I see.
The M17 is closer to an AR-18, but yeah, it's been done. You can't make a bullpup AR-15 because you have the buffer extension.
I don't really know the whole appeal of bullpups anyway. I'm kind of with in-range on that one. Where, like, you can't access the action particularly easily. You can't really tear it down easily either. It's like, what's the point?
It depends on the bullpup. Like, there are some that you can. Like the M17, you can, but the appeal of bullpups is that if you're doing vehicle-borne operations, or if you're doing close quarter, they're really kind of nice to have because it allows you to have a full-length rifle in a very small package.
Come on, all the shaders, goddammit! Oh, I'm gonna totally get hit. Come on. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Oh, I actually have to fight it. I'm going to destroy the fantasy robot by hitting it with my sword. Assuming the shaders ever compile. Try to make it... Oh, bullpup AR. No, I don't want to... Oh, yeah, I did that. Okay. That's the control for that. Hey, don't destroy my sword. It's the only one I have. Oh, God. I'm going to lose it. I can't remember the controls. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we got to jump on him, I think. Or do I do the... Do I shoot him with the magnet? Oh, I am so hurt. Oh, wait a minute, I bet you got to do, like... that, maybe? Actually, wait, where's my... Link, stop whistling. This is not the time... Oh, we gotta go in the inventory. I've only played this game, since yesterday, so I'm gonna blame it on that. There we go. I know how to play the video games. Yeah, Link, why are you slowed by water resistance? You're supposed to be magic. I don't think... Tries to connect the games, except for direct sequels, Link's image.
Yeah, in general, just treat the games as their own thing. You can go the full grog hard and say, oh, there's a timeline, but really that's stretching it real thin.
Then, like, drops it on his head, I'm guessing? Assuming the shaders compile. I'm looking forward to the Vulkan API version of this, though. Just because that's going to make this so much easier to play. I do find the name Calamity Ganon absolutely hilarious, though. I mean, I get it, Japanese game and all, but, like, that's just too funny. It's a calamity! Oh my god, it's a magnet! How do they work?
Don't ask ICP, but...
Semi-auto design marks rifle chamber 30-06. I imagine most of those things would be chambered for 308 at this point.
There's Lotz who makes a semi-auto 30-06 actual designated marksman's rifle. You're not going to find a sniper's rifle in 30-06 in this day and age. I mean, you can make one, but you're really best served doing that with a bolt action.
Speaking of 30-06, eventually I'm going to pick me up an M1 from the CMP. Not really sure when that's going to be, though. But that is going to be the next rifle I get, because that thing is legendary. And it's not nearly as long as I thought it was. Somebody could have said that. That somebody was me.
As for, like designated sniper rifles in, semi-automatic form, you've got, Noreen makes the Bad News rifle in 300 Winchester Magnum, and there's a 338 Lapua version as well, which are very good but are very expensive.
And ultimately, when would you actually need to use such a thing?
Depends. I personally would take one hunting Alaska or any mountainous terrain. Law enforcement has a great use for it, and because, high target environment, and nobody wants to repeat what happened in Zurich, so...
That shrine was supposed to be challenging? May the goddess smile upon you. And yeah, the lag is, well, that's the nature of Wii U emulation at this point. The fact that it doesn't lag any more than it does is quite excellent. Yeah, when it comes to Zelda, you know, I find it funny that like Zelda's the person you have to rescue, but she's in the title. So it took me. Now, where did he hang glide from, though? There is nothing big enough for him to jump down off of. How did you know? All right, not Gandalf. Right before your eyes. Even if you can be crystal clear. Okay, enough of the bloody pseudo-intellectual bullshit. I could just fucking skip right to the paraglider, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna play Link like an asshole. That Sheik is late. Highly advanced tribe known as the Sheik. The Sheikah inhabited these. Time and time again, or so it is said. Hid away the shrine that just happened to be right where everyone could find it. You believe there's 3 more. Bring me the treasure from each of the... Nah, that's what it'll take? Go get her. Really? Yeah, the high point. Yeah, oh god. You know, this is not Assassin's Creed, dude, but fine. So, I go to the lookout point and activate that, and yeah... And of course, my fantasy GPS will allow me to easily find all of these things, because of course it can. Let's see, I don't know if it actually works as such. Okay, of course it works. Alright, so, we have to go find a bunch of crap, so we can... Still though, for the first area of a game, this is actually pretty impressive all around. The Forest of Spirits. I just love how everything kind of rips off Gandalf, though, in a way. And, to be honest, I never found Gandalf to be that compelling of a character to begin with. I mean, I think you read Lord of the Rings, right, Rain?
Yep. The entirety of Tolkien's work.
So, like, how do you rate, like, okay, in a vacuum, assume that's not even that's not, like, the first fantasy series, like, ever. In a vacuum, how does that hold up compared to later works?
I like Tolkien, but here's the thing about him. The guy can spend 6 pages describing a tree. And he has. If you're going just by Lord of the Rings on its own, just the novel, it doesn't hold up as well. It's very good, but it doesn't hold up as well as modern fiction, which is paced better. Now, if you take into account the entire collected works to include the Silmarillion, then yeah, it's a deep world. But if you're just going by that one novel, no.
And, like, is the world even really that good, though?
Like I said, you have to take the entirety of the bestiary, the Silmarillion, all of it. In which case, yes, but it's worded too verbose. Modern fantasy does it a bit better in the fact that we convey more using less. There's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, and maybe I need to actually read the books, but it just doesn't seem like... When it comes to generic fantasy, it just feels more generic than it could be.
Well, understand that you're coming from an angle where you're used to modern fantasy, which takes the tropes of that and applies it in a much more streamlined manner. Remember, by the time Tolkien had his work done, really it was the trendsetter. It was pretty much the paradigm that everybody else worked off of.
Which I guess works, but I feel like his stuff just got too... This doesn't really deserve the popularity it has. But that could just be me.
Like I say, you're coming from... You found fantasy at a much, much later and more refined date. So that's... It's like comparing, you know... Let's switch gears and go to Conan. Conan is really, really good for what it is, but even it is, when you compare it to, like I say, the modern takes on it, people that are inspired by it, it's kind of rough.
Yeah. That's an interesting concept, though. It's like writing can actually become a bit obsolete. I forget the controls for the bow. I hope there's actually enough controls on the Xbox 360 gamepad to do that. Okay, that's that.
And tech, to answer your question, actually that happens a lot. There are certain operations and certain environments where one has to go native with one's arms. And, like, sound signature. You don't want... let's say we're going to go with a fictional country. We'll go with, like, you know, Turkmenistan. Okay, well, let's say the natives of Turkmenistan are used to AKs. You don't want to go in with an AR because that's going to be a different sound signature, and that's going to draw a lot of attention. They're used to hearing AKs in places like Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, places like this. So they don't think of anything when they hear AK gunfire. It's like, oh, looks like, you know, Rashid got a little drunk and is celebrating.
Although, I have heard that like AKs are getting less popular as time goes on, so...
Depends. If in areas where that's the norm, U.S. Special Forces will use AKs. Russian Special Forces will break out the old AKs and modify the heck out of them. And these days we have rifles like the M+M M10X. We had they were pretty lousy at the time. We had the Colt, you know, ARs, which were chambered in 7.62x3.9 that would take AK mags, and those were chosen for a reason. So because you can resupply in field off of your enemy, and it has the same sound signature. These days, there are reasons to use an AK. The whole reason for that Colt and for actually the PTR-32, which is the HK-32 originally, was the fact that, you know, if you're in theater, using the same ammo as your enemy can be kind of useful. We still don't know who contracted the 7.62x39 HK, you know, roller delayed rifles. HK will not reveal it. But it was done specifically for special operations within that environment.
Interesting. I did not know that. I just knew it existed. Best emulator for Nintendo 64. I don't think there's any one best one. Project 64 works pretty well. Parallel N64 works decently, and Mupen 64 also works decently. Some games will work for one, but not the other. And some games still don't work at all, as far as I know.
I'm going to go to bat and say 1964. 1964 is pretty solid.
I don't think I've used that one.
Essentially, imagine it accepts keyboard injectors pretty darn well. Like, if you want to play Perfect Dark with mouse and keyboard, 1964 is the way to go, and it runs really, really well.
Okay. Link, what? I guess you get a horse at some point. I guess. Okay, how do I want a sword? Like,
Tech, the M10X, there's no such thing as an AK upper. It's the M10X is essentially M+M Industries' take on the SIG 556R, which should have never been discontinued for U.S. use. It's still in fabrication in their Swiss plants.
Yeah, that guy moves fast. Let's see. Let's get room. Let's get. God damn it! I'm trying to get used to these controls. Okay, let's get rid. Did I pick up the torch? No, it's an arm. Let's get rid of the tree branch. So I don't think we can need that. This is the Wii U version. And a solid single-player Conan game. Well, there's the one where he's voiced by Ron Perlman, just called Conan, and it's not that bad. I think there's also one for the GameCube, also called Conan, that I think is actually halfway decent as well. Although I've not actually played that particular one. Give me all the shrooms. I'm surprised that Conan has lasted as long as it has. And
Well, I hate to say this, but Conan's at death's door right now. Marvel has the rights.
oh, wonderful. Why am I not surprised? Oh, it's Y that attacks. Okay. Oh, Marvel. Well, once they used to be awesome, now they're significantly less so. And I'm just wandering aimlessly. I did play that 360 Conan game. In fact, I did a review of it that I think I took down, but I did review it at one point. And I said it was passable, I think. It was very much a God of War ripoff, though. It was Conan of War, and it was... And yeah, that Conan reboot was pretty bad. With Jason Momoa. It's one of those things that completely lacked a plot. Other than just generic fantasy action. There's a temperature gauge in this? My god. Nintendo still knows what they're doing. You can't go into a frost-covered area wearing a sackcloth shirt and some pants. And something Bethesda could learn.
They're never going to learn it because Todd Howard scrolls. It's the guy is addicted to. I'm just going to charge in there with an axe,
which is exactly what I'm doing now, and getting my ass kicked. Okay, this is a weird way to control this, but okay, there's a spear. Let's try the spear. Fuck him up. Ah, I'm taking a lot. Okay, let's try the bow. That music is just a little too happy for my taste. Boom, boom. Well, that worked. I just actually need to get some arrows. And wait for the shaders to compile. Yeah, I didn't know what that F was supposed to stand for. I guess now I know what it stands for. Okay, I don't know what the little thing is. Oh, that must be like how much sound you're making. I get it. I get VidGam. Seared steak. Let's hope it's not like human steak. That would be bad. Link the cannibal.
No, moblins generally don't eat people.
Okay, just so I can wolf it down in like one gulp. Give me all the shrooms. We're gonna get fucked up tonight. Also, random giant shirt, but whatever. I think I saw another shrine over here. Let's see, what time is it? I've been going an hour and a half. Custom made, modified. This is a really... The lighting in this is absolutely amazing. For a Switch game. Not a Switch game, for a Wii U game, I should say. Oh, Nintendo. Nintendo, I think, is like one of the last great gaming companies, really. That's not an independent sort of thing.
Yeah, it's essentially I'm really hoping Nintendo's never going to see a Sega moment and just end up having to, cancel production of their own systems.
Yeah. Speaking of which, last week was 9/9/2019. I think that's
20 years of Dreamcast.
My God, I feel old. Of course, for all the Sega fanboys out there, I ended up actually selling my Dreamcast back in the late 90s so I could get more N64 games. Sorry.
What are you apologizing for? As long as you're gaming, that's what matters.
Oh, yeah, but it's like, I kind of went Sega and then I went straight back to Nintendo. And the games I got with the money I got from selling that, if I'm not mistaken, were 3DO games. Games actually developed by the company 3DO. Specifically, Sergeant Heroes and Army Men Air Combat. Genesis Mini. Haven't those existed, like, for years now? I need to review...
No, the official one is coming out very soon. It's M2's handling the emulation.
Oh. Maybe the sound will actually be right for once.
Actually, yes, it is.
Because that's the one...
The emulation's really good.
Yeah, those were all those, like... Not Tiger Electronics. Oh, what was that game company called? Or, it's not a game company, but
At Games.
Yeah, that's the one. I thought it started with a T, though. I know one of those starts with a T.
We had Tomo, which was the ones who handled the Neo Geo X Gold, which was not good.
Oh, yeah, that thing. Also, we got the Nintendo Switch shirt. Because, Fantasy? Yes, Link is now shilling for Nintendo. As you would expect. You fucking sold out, Link. How could you sell out? You were supposed to be, like, genuine, man. DC with Code Veronica. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I actually got to play that at an actual arcade once. Okay, we'll do this shrine, and then I'm going to call it a day, because I got to get up at, like, 7 in the morning to drive to Dallas, and that's not going to be fun. Jabaji, in the name of the goddess I'm not going to try to pronounce that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Oh, yeah, the bombs, another staple. Yeah, this is actually really good. I'm actually getting into this game much more than I thought I would. Oh, just sort of a family reunion of sorts. Nothing too important.
Hey.
Hey.
You got here just in time. I'm about to end the stream again.
Are you frickin' kidding me? I'm watching frickin' Princess Bride.
Yeah, it's a classic. Remote bomb. Monsters destroy objects. Both round and cube-shaped bombs, eh? Use whichever fits the best situation. Also, that arm is, yeah, like, you might want to do that in private. Just saying.
Oh my.
Alright, so let's see. We throw... You, of course, have to wait for the shaders to compile.
So what are you doing, John?
Playing Breath of the Wild with the Sim emulator.
Ah, cool. Cool.
Wait, do I have to hold that down or something? Throw with R. There we go. I can play video games. I know I had to... Like I hit the wrong control so we missed the explosion. All we do is get to hear it and wait for shaders to compile.
So how's the new PC so far?
I can emulate I can run Simu and RPSX3. Or RPS... whatever the fuck it is.
Oh yeah, that PS.
Did I really just blow myself up like an idiot? I'm blaming the controls!
It's a rite of passage in all Legend of Zelda games.
Over penetration. Oh dear.
Yeah, I wasn't right, so I definitely saw some.
Alright, let's try this again without...
Know that you died and your hand, your skeletal hand is going to grope you even in death.
I keep thinking that's the right trigger, not the right bumper. I probably shouldn't be playing a Switch game on an Xbox 360 gamepad. That's likely just a little bit heretical.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, I think this is a second-gen Ryzen processor, if I'm not mistaken.
Still a first gen Ryzen.
Detonate. Oh yeah, do you think there's ever going to be a Magnavox something? I forget what it's called now.
Magnavox.
Not Odyssey.
No.
Not Magnavox. Oh, what the hell is that? I don't even know what I'm thinking about. That's me having no sleep. The
Does it have the Odyssey?
No, the Philips CDI. I don't know why I was thinking Magnavox.
Oh, because Philips Magnavox was the thing for a while.
Because one day I would like to actually try those shitty Zelda games for that particular machine. I won't call it a game console.
As for emulators, yeah, there is sort of support for that. As in terms of a mini, actually, there's been a petition to talk to Matsushita about making a CDI mini.
Just for the what?
You're breaking up some fierce.
Oh.
Yeah.
So are they?
You're still breaking up.
Are you kidding? Sec.
What are you using? Morse code?
No, I.
So, teletype.
Hotel Mario is not so bad. It's just really meme worthy. The Zelda games are on CDI are pretty bad.
So yeah, that's it.
Okay, so I guess I get like launched with this thing. I'm using video game logic here. Yep, there
Bombs
we
get
go.
launched for that.
Well,
Oh. Okay. But it's not like you'd actually played Hotel Mario on an emulator. Hotel Mario looks like one of the strangest things, like, ever. That is such a late 90s concept.
When was the CDI again?
Essentially, it was a pseudo gaming system. It was really intended as kind of an all-in-one entertainment system.
No, I meant when.
It was 1993. And the 3DO kind of crushed it as a game system.
There we go.
Then again, the 3DO was just like expensive.
Well, so was the CDI.
Well,
CDI back then was close to $700.
wow. CDI. Those.
And you can play the Flowers of Robert Mapplethorpe.
Which, by the way, Robert Mapplethorpe kinda has a little bit of a history.
Oh dear. Oh yeah, I think you mentioned that. Like he had like some kind of porn game or something along those lines.
No porn game. He's known for, outside of flower photography, he was big into the BDSM scene.
Oh. So that's what he meant when he said flowers.
Well, no, he actually did take really good flower photography. I mean, botany was one of his hobbies, but that said, you know, BDSM photography was also a big thing with him.
Zhao, how use the flower?
Well, imagine, you know, standard rope ties, things like that, ball gags, and flowers in very unique positions.
Oh dear. Also, I cannot put my ball in this hole. And yes, I said that to be suggestive as possible. Okay, drop the bomb and have it There we go.
Silver Wings, it wasn't back then, but it is now. Back then, the Neo Geo cost you $250 to $275, and the games were about as expensive. I mean, when it first came out, when I paid for mine, the console was right at about $350. Now remember, this is 1992 money, so adjusted for inflation, that's closer to like $600 US today, and the games would be closer to like almost $300 a pop.
So you had to be a real gamer in those days, that's for sure. Although, ironically, games are getting about that expensive again with all that goddamn DLC. Oh. Alright, so we got the Spirit Orb. Which means we successfully completed 2 dungeons. Once we load in back outside, we will call it a stream. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with the Ryzen 2200G. It is an excellent processor for the money. Because it can run all these really highly intensive emulators. And I'm really looking forward to using it with, an actual PC game, like, say, Doom Eternal. But so far, I'm quite impressed with my new machine. And I'm also quite impressed with Breath of the Wild. And so, I am General Lotz. And
I'm Radic.
And we're all going to wish you good. Wii U, whatever, makes you happy.